If you're sharing documents through Showbie, the chances are that your students are going to respond to them and do their learning on that same document. So it'd be really good if there was a way to quickly jump through all 30 documents in one go to do like a speed marking of them. Oh, okay. Apparently there is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our materials section. This is the original document that I shared onto Showbie, and I'm going to tap onto that blank document. There's no student learning here. This is my master copy. And at this point, I'm going to use one of the iPadOS 26 features and just pull in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. Now I've got two windows on the screen at once, and the second window just happens to be a screenshot in the Photos app of the marking scheme for this particular piece of learning. That means I can have both on my screen at the same time, which already is a big time saver. But right now you may notice there's no student work here to mark, it's just my blank template. So let's change that. At the top left of my toolbar, you'll see a little icon with some people on, and these are the students in my class. When I tap on here, I'll get my whole roster of students, and I can tap onto the very first person here, Karima, and there we go. I can see their learning on my page. You can also on that list of students see the assignment status indicators we talked about in a previous video, so you can see if someone submitted it or if they're working on it still. At this point, I can then zoom in and I can use those digital annotation tools to fully mark this piece of learning and to leave personal feedback where required. Although, the eagle-eyed amongst you will realise that I marked Karima's work in a previous video. Well, actually, if we go back at the top here, you're going to see that student's name, and there's an arrow on either side. Tapping on this arrow will move you straight into the next student in your class at the exact same place in that document. Even if you've got a multi-page document, it will take you to the same page for the next student, so you can quickly mark all the page 1s, all the page 2s, and so on. Now I can see Susan's work here, which handwriting-wise looks a lot like Karima and Bianca and all the other students that I pretended to be earlier, but because I've got my marking sheet open side by side, I can really quickly go through and mark this. And actually, as I'm doing this, I can see that Susan's made a slight mistake here as well. So what I'll do is just tap on the voice note button at the top, and again I can tap and place this on the screen at the exact place she's made that mistake. Then I can really simply leave her a message, and just like that, she'll now have some personal feedback. We can also grade the learning as we're going by tapping on the button at the top here. Because I've left a comment for Susan to come back to, I'm not going to mark the assignment as done for her yet. Instead, I'll choose needs revisions. That means that she'll know to carry on working here. I can still add the grade though. She's got 6 marks out of 8 so far, and I can simply type in the 6 there at the top. Then when I go on to my next student, I can carry on the marking process, I can leave feedback, and again I can use the grading option at the top to add the score there for them. Sophie's done really well, so we'll mark that page as done, and she's got 8 out of 8, so great job, Sophie. And as I'm going through these, just think about how quickly we're doing this. We're not going through 30 books, we're not trying to thumb through the pages to find the exact right thing. It's just all there on the device, and I can simply jump from one page to the next by just tapping button once. I've got my stylus in my hand, and I'm very happy with marking this learning. I can even do it on the sofa, at my desk, wherever I like. It really is great. Now, Bianca here, we've already looked at her learning, and she's made a very simple mistake. That means she's got no marks. I am going to put the grade at the top, so she'll have 0 out of 8, and I'm going to mark it as needs revisions. But I don't want her to just open that and immediately think she's got everything wrong. So what I'll do is I'll leave some feedback here as well by tapping onto this icon. And at this point, I can simply type in the feedback in as long a form as I like, and that will apply to the whole piece of learning. So I'm going to put in here that perhaps she ought to check out the voice note that I left for her, and not to worry because she can resubmit this later. That way when she opens it, she'll know exactly what's going on. And don't worry if you forget to do the grading feature when you're marking the learning, because you can do it from the main assignment screen as well. So for Karima's work here, I didn't mark it at the time, but at the top I can simply add the grade manually, I can mark the assignment status, and I can leave that written feedback here as well, just like I did for Bianca earlier. So the whole feedback cycle is right there within Showbie, on the learning that the students have done, and for me as a teacher, it makes the process much quicker, which means I can give more time to leaving more personal feedback. And speaking of making the feedback better, there's actually an AI feedback assistant that's rolling out into Showbie as well. So here on this demo account, I've got a piece of writing, some instructional text, and I want to leave some feedback for the learner that actually they might want to explain some of the concepts and some of the ideas they're talking about. So I'm going to leave feedback just like before, but this time I'm going to type some notes down. I'm not going to make it into a full sentence or anything, just a few thoughts in my head. And then, using Showbie's built-in AI, I can tap Improve It in the bottom left corner. At this stage, it's going to rewrite that feedback and turn it into something much more actionable and much more meaningful, and I can rewrite it again here if I want to. I'm quite happy with this as a starting point, so I'm going to press Insert, and then I can simply make manual changes after this. I've never sent the feedback exactly as it is to my learners. I always go in and personalise it a bit more, and make sure it's relevant to what we're doing, but it's such a good time-saving tool.